My name's Adrienne Lee. Where do I come from? Well, I originated in London. I'm a Cockney at heart, really, but then I went to university in Nottingham, married my professor and stayed there. So I'm from Nottingham, which is right in the centre of the UK, and I live in a big house in the centre of Nottingham, right by the castle.
Nice, lovely. And how long have you been involved in TA?
Oh, I've been involved in TA a long, long time. I started in TA in about 1971. I was teaching at the time in a teacher training college. I was training teachers, and we were doing all kinds of weird experimental workshops. And we'd get groups doing strange things, like I'd get them to put, like half a group to put paper bags on their head and the other half not to have a paper bag, and then I'd see what would happen. And people did strange things, like they'd tear off the bags of the people, or we'd have a... And I thought, why are people behaving like this? I don't understand what's going on. So I went to an adult education class that was run by a man called John Alloway on group dynamics and transactional analysis.
Okay.
And it sounded good, so I thought, well, I'll find out. Well, as soon as I found out what TA was, I just got hooked. And although I went on to become a university teacher and taught in university for nearly 30 years, I kept doing TA and was seeing clients, running training workshops, setting up a training institute, all while also working for the university and raising a family. So.
Wow, sounds like you were busy. And what are you passionate about in your life?
I'm passionate about my family, who are growing. They're enormous. In fact, I'm going to my grandson's wedding on Saturday. So, you know, I'm excited and passionate about the different generations. I'm also passionate about training transactional analysts and working with people, and it's a similar kind of feel to the family, and seeing those people who I've trained, who are now training people, who are then also training people. So I'm seeing all the generations of people who have expanded the whole tribe, I suppose, really, of TA. So they're related passions.
Yes. So tell me about your work now. What are you doing mostly now in your work life?
Well, I've retired from the university, and so I've devoted all my life to the Burn Institute, my working life. So I run an institute in the middle of England, near Nottingham, called the Burn Institute. We have a very successful and exciting training programme in TA, which is validated by the Middlesex University for a master's degree. And I love creating the environment where people want to come and learn, where it's a kind of safe and comfortable and challenging environment to learn TA. So we limit our trainees, we limit ourselves to 100 trainees, and I limit my work to 100 days a year. So I've got some boundaries to make sure that we don't get too big or too take over all of my life.
Okay.
But I love what we do, and we're very successful.
Okay, and I know that you're an ideas person, that you've developed several different bits of theory, and that you haven't written all of those down. But tell me a bit about the idea of process scripts, which I know you're really interested in and passionate about.
I am. I've always been very interested in the process and of working here and now with what is real and live in the room. And for me, real change happens in being really centred in our here and now presence. Now, I then found that outcome contracts that clients came into and said, well, what do you want? And planning for some future event which implied that where they were was no good because they had to get somewhere else, didn't really work for me. And so I was really interested in developing an approach to contracting that was really going to take into account our here and now dynamic process with each other. So that meant that we didn't give up contracting. I think you have to make contracts if you're a transactional analyst. But we would actually make those contracts as they were live in the here and now. So I might say to a client or even a trainee, so what is it that you want now? And then to see if there's a way to manifest that want being achieved in the here and now of the relationship. And then to ask the question, and what do you want now? Or even sometimes not even asking that question, but of honouring the fact that what you want is going to evolve organically, and that one want, once achieved, will give rise to another want and another want, and that this is, you're almost creating something that is much more organic than linear in the normal process of contracting. You know, this is where I am now, this is where I want to be, this is what needs to happen for me to get there. And it's like it's very goal oriented. And I don't, although I work sometimes within an agreement that takes into account maybe a long-term goal, for me it's that very authentic change that happens moment by moment that I want to validate by a contracting method that focuses on the process. So I call that process contracting. And I write a lot really about the attachment and the process of working.
Lovely, good. Could you give me an example of how you've actually used that with a client or with a trainee, or a general example?
Well, I suppose I'm doing it all the time. So if a client, say, comes into the room and says, I want to just be more confident in my life. I just feel as though I haven't got enough confidence, I'm scared. And then I might explore that with them. I might say, well, what's it like when you get scared or not confident? And I feel as though I can't even make eye contact with somebody, or can't even talk to them. So I might say something like, and what do you want now? Well, I want to be able to be confident now. So what are you aware of you're doing with me now? Well, I'm making eye contact with you. Yeah. So as you're making eye contact, what are you feeling? What are you doing? Da 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 da. And now what do you want? So that it evolves into something that is brought into the room. Well, now I want to be able to do more of that. Okay.
Nice.
So
Okay.
that kind of thing. So it's working very gently, but very much in the immediate experience of our relationship, rather than something that is outside of the room.
Okay, all right, that's lovely. Thank you very much.